Welcome to another episode of We Debates. Happy New Year, happy 2021 rather, happy 2021. I took a few weeks off, man. It was a death, in the family, so I didn't feel like doing any podcasts. I didn't feel like talking about any issues, so that's why you haven't seen me for a little while. But we got to get into it. I'm upset. I'm gonna tell you why I'm upset. Yeah, it starts the new year. Some days in the new year, but check this out, man. Discipline. Discipline is very important, and loyalty is very important in life, period. It has nothing to do with just jobs, or it has everything to do with relationships, jobs, everything, right? So I'm gonna have to touch on this Kyrie situation. Everybody's talking about it. Everybody's having their inputs on it. So here's my issue with it. He gets paid a big contract, $140+ no matter what it is. He gets paid very big to play basketball. Talented young fellow, but he's not disciplined. Why do I say that? He's out right now for, he says, personal reasons. So what's the personal reasons? See, if it was about something family related, as far as issues like death or things of that nature that you have to deal with, then you would say it, right? You're not going to keep that a secret, because when you sat out the last time, it was about, social justice. I wanted the Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, things of that nature. It's cool. But when you say you're sitting out for personal reasons and your coach don't know where you at, the organization don't know where you at, they just winging it when they ask for interviews, that's not a good look. Your best friend or quote unquote close friend is Kevin Durant. Why you leave him on a hook? Why you leave him out there to dry? When they ask him questions, of course he's gonna do the interview answer like, yeah, we support him. Whatever decision he makes, I hope everything's all right. You know everything is all right. The video just came out, him playing or planning a party, or was at a party with his sister, dancing with no mask on, violating the safety codes for the NBA. It's COVID out here. The conditions that we're in out here. People are passing away out here. And you sitting up here like, it's personal reasons, but you at a party. How does that look to your organization? How does it look to your team? How does it look to the NBA? It's like a smack in the face to the NBA. Because you're scapegoating social justice. Let's just point that out. You're using social justice as a scapegoat. So everybody's going to assume that you're sitting out because of social justice, but it's really not the case. You're sitting out, then you have reports talking about, he just don't feel like playing. Where do we do that at? You're supposed to be a role model. You don't consider yourself a role model, but you are. People look up to you. People buy your sneakers, little kids, little league, high school, elementary school, college. Look up to Kyrie Irving. You got point guards out here. You got players out here growing up trying to be like Kyrie Irving. You think that's a good example to show them? That's not a good example at all to show anyone. You want to be in Kevin Durant's shoes. You want to be in LeBron James' shoes. You can't be in their shoes because they lead by example. You think Kyrie and what is his name? You think LeBron James is gonna sit out just to sit out in his organization? No, he's never that type of dude. He's a leader. He's leading by example. He's playing and he's also doing the situations that he have to handle outside of work. He does that after he finished playing. He don't use games. Look, you're getting charged over $400,000 a game every game you sit out. So right now is at 1.6 million. What the sources say is at $1.6 million that you're losing, and everybody's like, he's donating money to WNBA. He's donating money to charities. That has nothing to do with your responsibility to your job. Remember, people look at basketball as just entertainment. Basketball is not just entertainment. Basketball is actually a job. These people, they entertain us as fans that want to see them play, but that's still their job. So you're letting young kids come up thinking, if I'm going to start a team, then I could just sit out. And I could just tell them whatever because you feel you entitled. What are you entitled to? You're entitled to play basketball. That's why they pay you the big bucks. That's all you're entitled to. You're not entitled to have mood swings. You're not entitled to shun your coaches, shun your the NBA, abandon, because pretty much you're doing a no call, no show. In any average job, a no call, no show is grounds for termination. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's grounds for termination. Most jobs, you cannot no call, no show. That's not qualified, and that's definitely not tolerated in any job. I'm upset at that because I'm a player, and I'm also a coach. And me personally, all right, if you want to sit out, just like Stephen A. Smith said, just retire until you're ready. Maya Moore did it when she wanted to deal with the justice system, when she wanted to deal with a case where this guy was wrongfully accused, and she wanted to do everything in her power to get him out of jail or to get just justice for him. What she did, she said, look, I think that's more important right now, so I'm going to step away from the team. I'm going to step away from my career. She was at the height of her career, too. It's not like she was on the downside as a bum. No, she was at the height of her career, one of the top players in the league, and she stepped away from it for 2 years. They saying she might come back. Cool. If she does, cool. If she chose not to, then that's cool, too. But that's what you do when you want to stand for something. So, you know, a lot of things that you're doing, people are furious about it. Your team, your organization, they're not happy with you, bro. They're like, is it worth the headache? No, it's really not. And in no situation, it's not. Like when I heard about trades and things happening, I thought you was in the mix. I thought Kyrie was definitely in the mix of that. You know? So like me personally, as a coach, we handle things differently. You got to show. See, you putting Steve Nash in a tough spot, bro. It's like he's a new coach. Yeah, you right. That podcast that you had with Kyrie, with Kevin Durant, and you said, "Oh, we don't need no coach, and we coach each other." You've proven that. You're showing with your actions that you don't need no coach because you could do what you want to do. By not telling them, by not letting them know, you texting teammates and stuff like that, telling them vaguely what's going on. They don't know exactly what's going on. They just know that you out. And right now, there's no timeline for you to come back. So, I don't mean to harp on that, but like, you have to talk about something like that when it's a big thing, because it's a big thing in the world that we live in. Discipline and loyalty to whatever you committed to, supposedly committed to. So.
So if it's possible for you to give us an example of how you handled, students in the past who wanted to miss games, or who just, did that no call, no show type of thing.
Okay, so how we did it, me and Campbell, which is my co-host, is not here. He's handling business. So, I hope he's doing his thing and happy. But with South Bronx Prep, I coached there, assistant coach there for like 9 years and counting. So when we have a player that don't want to abide by our rules or come to practice on time or don't let people know what's going on, you just feel like you the man. See, no one man is above the team and what we stand for. So when we have players that did that, they know who they are. I don't even have to say their name. Like homecoming, that's one of the biggest games for South Bronx Prep. Everybody knows if you come to that game, you coming to see a show. And guess what we did to that superstar, quote unquote, that we had? We sat him out. He had to come to the game in uniform and sit on a bench and watch as we played. Yeah, we jeopardized losing the game because we played a good contender. We jeopardized it, but it was a point to be proven. You can't just do what you want to do without communication, without letting the team know. First of all, the coaches know what's going on. Like if you miss class the day before the game or the day of the game, you can't play. So forget missing practices and things of that nature. You can't do that. That's just not tolerated. And Kyrie doesn't seem to understand the importance he is of that team. They value his presence. They would have paid him all that money if they didn't feel his value. But just like the league is, what, billions of dollars worth, they can chuck that up and get rid of you. That's the thing you don't understand. Because they're talking about if he keeps this up, they can, forfeit and cancel his contract if they want to. They talking about canceling his contract. Stephen A. Smith tell him, you need to retire then. So, the more he sits out, the more money he's donating back to the league, which is fine, I guess, but it's a message. It's not about the money because you're a millionaire. It's not really about the money. It's a point to prove. That's why they hitting you with that. Think about this. You want to have first of all, he's messing up his brand. $1.6 million is nothing compared to how much his brand costs. You think it won't happen to you? Ask Allen Iverson when he chose not to play. Ask Carmelo Anthony, that was pretty much begging to get back in the league after he was on his high horse talking about, oh, I'm not coming off the bench. I'm not this. I'm not that. So ask those players how it really is when they blackball you, because it will happen. Kyrie, you're not above anybody in the league. It will happen. You got players that can take your spot. It's the Damian Lillards of the world. It's the Stephs of the world. It's the Mitchells of the world. They there. They're just as good as you. They can score just as much as you. They're there. They got their brand. They're there. So, can you be replaced? Sure you can. And that's the point that I'm trying to prove. And you don't see it. People in your camp is obviously yes men. Discipline and loyalty is number one. Anything you do. Children looking up to you, please don't follow that path of stardom. When you get there, thinking like, oh, if Kyrie did it, I could do it. No. That's in a perfect world. He's not living in a perfect world. He's living in his world, which is causing turmoil because everybody know a great team, a great championship team is built off of what? Loyalty and consistency. Chemistry. How you gonna have chemistry if he's not playing? And then it's gonna put a big stamp on Steve Nash. You know why? Because Steve Nash has to make a decision now. All those players that's breaking their necks for minutes, coming to practice on time, playing hard in the games for minutes. So he's just gonna come back and just weasel right back in the starting lineup like nothing happened. All these players that's working mad hard to get their spot to solidify their worth, he's just gonna just wash that all out as soon as he say, I'm ready to play. It shouldn't work like that. He now should have to earn his spot in the rotation. That's how it works. You ever saw starters lose their starting spot and go to the bench? Happens all the time. On all levels. Starters can lose their starting spot. Ask Carmelo. I'm going to keep saying it because Carmelo was one of the best scorers in the game. He lost his starting spot. Yeah, he's diminishing it, but his attitude on top of that caused it. His attitude on top of that caused it. He almost was out of the league. So, Kyrie, what is he, 26? 27? What is he? He's close to that number. But you pushing 30, champ, and you riddled with injuries. So your life expectancy in the game is not really that long. You won't have a...
He's 28.
He's 28. Look at that. You're 28. Your life expectancy in the league is really not that much longer because of your injuries. So they can utilize your injuries and factor in that and your age and be like, you know what, this is not worth it. and factor in your antics, it's not worth it. So, the kids out there that's watching, the kids out there that's looking, find another role model. Find someone that's going to really lead you by the example. Because right now, Kyrie, I don't care what he's going through. People trying to say, oh, he going through this. No, you speculating what he's going through. But in all actuality, he's doing what he want to do. He's showing you he's doing what he want to do. And the team, the Brooklyn Nets, is not going to do nothing about it. That's what he's showing you. Because once he say he's going to play, he's going to be in the starting lineup like nothing happened. And that's a bad example on anybody that's watching him.
I was going to ask you a question about how you feel about the James Harden trade. But before you go into it, how you feel about him playing poorly on one team and doing very well on a new team the next day of the trade?
Okay. This is how I feel about that. Everybody call themselves leaders. He's playing poorly because he's showing that he didn't want to be there. So, like, the last time James Harden, what was the last 3-4 games that he played in Houston? He averaged 17 points. When the last time James Harden averaged 17 points? When he was the sixth man of the year, OKC. That was over 9 years ago. So, he's showing the organization, I'm going to come to training camp late. I'm going to come out of shape. I'm going to give you the bare minimum because I have to play. I don't want to get fined, so I'm just going to play. I'm just going to go out there and go through the motions. That's what James Harden did. Because he wants out. Because if I play really well, they're not going to try to trade me. So let me just cause a lot of turmoil here. Get into it with players in practice. I heard he threw a ball at a rookie in practice, and they was going at it, jawing at each other. So like you causing turmoil. But see, this is the thing. They tried to do everything for you in Houston. They gave you Chris Paul. They gave you Boogie Cousins. They gave you Westbrook. They gave you all these players that you asked for. It didn't work. So either you done had a fat suit on because you looked heavy, and then all of a sudden you get into the Nets uniform, you a Slim Jim. Okay, cool. Whatever you did to make it happened, right? But see, that's still not leadership. That's still not leadership because you abandoned the team that you had right now. At the moment you had. You was going to eventually get the trade, but then you downplay him, talking about you're not good enough to win. What are you talking about? You said I'd rather play with John Wall than Westbrook. John Wall's there. Then you're going to downplay the whole team as a whole, like, oh, we're not good enough, so it can't be fixed. You don't say that in public. But see, that's what happens when a spoiled individual didn't get his way. So that's what I say on that aspect of it. The actual trade itself, well, I believe they gave up too much. Everybody jumping out the window. They gave up too much to get James Harden. It had to be a 4-team trade for one. All 4 teams had to benefit from this. Houston got like 7 round picks. They got, first of all, see, this is the thing. Y'all was already 11th in defense as a team. See, this is a coach talking now. As a player, it's like, oh yeah, no. Coach talking now. 11th in defense with Allen. What is Jared Allen? With Allen on the squad, the Afro dude. Him and LeVert, y'all was 11th. Who knows what y'all gonna be now? Y'all dropped tremendously. You're not a defensive team. Remember, you got Steve Nash and Dan Toney as coaches. Not saying that they're not gonna be good coaches, but their mentality is score, 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 score. Defense, we'll play it here and there, but defense win games. So you're gonna try to outscore everybody? It didn't work in Phoenix. It didn't work in Houston. What makes you think it's going to work in Brooklyn? When the playoffs come, you play one team 7 times. You have the opportunity to play one team 7 times. Guess what? They're going to strategize against you for 7 possible games. They know you gave up the middle. We getting rid of Allen. You gave it up. Now it's free. Look. Y'all won last night. Great. What was it? 122 to 115. James Harden had a triple-double. They making a big deal out of it. Oh, 32, 14, and okay. Kevin Durant had 42. Guess what? 42 last night. 42, 32. You had 74 points combined. And y'all barely beat Orlando. Y'all barely beat Orlando. Okay. And James Harden, look. It's not about bashing you, but everybody making a big deal. This is Orlando. Cool. And you was one turnover away from a quadruple double. So you had 9 turnovers. Interesting. So to me, the 32 points cool, you can score. But 9 turnovers, you do that on a great team, they're gonna capitalize on them turnovers. That might be 18 points. Off turnovers. One player.
KD got 9. KD got 6 turnovers.
How many did Kyrie have? How many did James Harden have?
He had 9.
He had 9, exactly. So that kind of diminishes that triple double, if you ask me. Because any other player have 9 turnovers, that's a bad game.
But he also said in the press conference, he said once chemistry starts to build up, the turnovers will decrease over time.
Oh, it will. But the point that I'm proving is everybody's hooping and hollering over this win, which is you're supposed to beat Orlando. Orlando had so many players out as well. If you look at they had like 7 players out that really helped that team. So for you to barely beat them, and you had to put up 42, you had to put up 32. That's not really an impressive win if you really look at it.
Yeah, they had to work a lot because if they were both hurt, they would have lost.
Or if one of them had just an off game a little bit. Because they let one dude from Orlando, which is the big guy, he had 34, 30 something like that on them.
Yeah, I don't know how to say his name.
Yeah, all right, cool. He had 34 points, right?
Yeah, he had 34 points, 10 rebounds, 7
okay.
assists.
He was killing. Guess who? DeAndre Jordan and all them down there, because Allen is not there. That's going to be a big problem for the big teams that has more than one player to help them win. So the moral of the story is when you get deep in the playoffs, you're going to make the playoffs. But when you start getting deep, you better watch who you're playing in the first round. Forget trying to get to the finals. See, everybody trying to get to the finals. They trying to get to the honeymoon before they get to the marriage. Listen, you have to get past those killers in the East now. Just like everybody played their best against Cavaliers when they had LeBron and Kyrie on them, they playing their best against Brooklyn. They playing their best against Golden State. They playing their best against the Clippers. They playing their best against these teams that's considered powerhouse teams. And if you think 42 and 32 a night gonna do it, let me tell you something. You're gonna have some bad nights, off nights where you're gonna have like 22 here, sometimes 19. And there's no telling when Kyrie coming back. So the moral of this story, focus on your craft. Forget all the nonsense on social media. Forget all the nonsense at home. If you getting paid to do a job, do the job. The only personal reasons that you should be out is for death or you're sick and you can't play. Obviously, you injured, obviously that. But don't use your platform to show the youth, because it's about the youth, to show the youth that you can just be unloyal and not consistent anytime you feel like it just because you feel you the star. So, for those watching, keep your mind focused. Do what you got to do. You know right from wrong. Do right. Leave the wrong behind. I'm going to see y'all on the next one. Easy.